Hey there, Krafty Friends. This is Jen from Crafts, and I am back on the Hedgehog Hollow blog today, playing with the October subscription box. For this week's project, I made some crafty holiday tags. It was definitely refreshing for me to do something other than a card this week, just outside my little comfort zone. And I definitely had fun doing it, and I can see these underneath my Christmas tree this holiday season. The first thing that I did was grabbed out my Spellbinders Nestabilities. I have several of these. I've had them for a long, long time, but they're very versatile and work very, very well for tags. In the past, for the holiday season, I have made this sort of label slash tag for different gifts. I make homemade baskets often with a bunch of homemade gifts inside the basket. And then I also have made wine before, and I've used these as my labels. And my holiday style is old, kind of vintage look. I have a lot of pallet board decorations with twine, that sort of thing. So these go great with my holiday decor. So I basil craft cardstock and cut out the bases of the tags. And then I used Distress Oxide inks and Wild Honey, Aged Mahogany, and Evergreen Bough to stamp out my sentiments and some of the images from around winter in the subscription box this month. I actually layered the aged mahogany with the wild honey. I just kind of stamped up the image with both of those inks, and I liked the way that looked, kind of like an ombre look. And it was very simple. I just used the stamp pads and put that right on to the images or to the sentiment. And then I stamped all those out, and then I grabbed some more Spellbinders Nestabilities and just cut around those out with the die cuts. And now I am using the stencil that is in the October subscription box. And I wanted to use kind of a light hand, so I always ink up my work area rather than going directly onto my project to kind of make that a little softer. Because these inks are very bright and vibrant, so you just kind of have to use the thought process of less is more for something like this. Because I was trying to achieve that more of a vintage kind of look with these. So I'm just going over each of the inks a few times, but as light as I can. And I didn't want a harsh line between them, so I was blending on top of each other with the inks and just working that out. And then I still thought that the contrast, when I unveiled that, I thought that the contrast was still a little bit more than what I wanted. So I just went ahead and inked over the whole entire tag with the oxide. And I like the way that toned it right down. And again, I never really even re-inked my foam pads. I just used the ink that was on my work surface. So you don't need a lot. A lot goes a long way for this. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do the bases of the other tags in the same way, except that I'm moving my stencil around so that the center point is in different areas, different spots. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tone all those down. See, I'm just playing with it. And it kind of goes with the way that particular tag shape is, of how I wanted it to fall onto the stencil. And I used a little pixie spray behind the stencil in order to get it to stick. And it's great stuff. I like it. And a little bit goes a long way with that as well, and you can use it several times. Now I cleaned up my workspace, and I decided that I wanted to do some direct stamping on this tag. So again, I'm using the same color palette for all of them, and I'm just inking up that cute little gift tag or cute gift stamp with the wild honey and aged mahogany. And I like that look as well. And then I wanted to try something even different. They're like, the possibilities with these are just completely endless. You could just keep playing and playing and make a lot of tags all at once. So I wanted to soften up the edges. So again, I just put some more ink on my work surface and went around that edge to give that a little bit of mahogany with the evergreen. I did that on several of the stamps, but I didn't do one tag the same. I changed up everything. So sometimes I inked up around the edges, sometimes I didn't. And then with this one, I wanted to try to make the background solid, a solid evergreen, but this was definitely a juicier ink pad than my other ones. So it covered the surface a little bit more than what I really wanted, more than I expected, which is great that it was great coverage, but it's not exactly what I wanted. So I will go back and change that up a little bit after. And now I just wanted to add a little bit of that evergreen to a couple of the other tags and soften it up again. So I just went right on top of that. And I like these three colors together, especially for the vintage look that I was going to, the vintage holiday look. And now I'm using Tailored Expressions tag reinforcements just for a little decorative element. And I really do think that it probably does give a little bit of that reinforcement when you put your twine or your string, whatever you want to put into that space. And now there's so many different elements and pieces here, so I had to play around to see what I thought looked okay, what I thought looked best, because there's a ton of possibilities. Like I said, you could just sit here all day and make tag after tag after tag, and I found it fun. So yeah, you can make a lot of tags with this. So I just use a little glue and pop those those tag reinforcements down. I'm using foam tape to pop up my sentiments, just a little extra dimension on the tag. And there's also stamps out there that you could stamp to and from, and you can personalize the tags if you'd like. And I'm using a little hole punch and just adding as close to the center as I could get in those tag reinforcements, just a little space so I could add the twine. Just sticking that in there and making a little loop and tightening that down. And I did add a knot to the top of this one, but I didn't with all of them, so that's personal preference. And now the open edge, you can either attach that to something or you can tape it on to a package, whatever you prefer, or change it up and do it several different things to different packages. Or baskets, again, you can tie that to a handle of a basket. That's what I've done often in the past. I like making all different things every year. Like I said, the one year I made wine, so I could put that into the basket, and then I added some crackers and some cheese and made a wine basket. I do different themes like that, and you put pretty cellophane all over the baskets with the tags. And sometimes each individual thing needs a tag in order to explain what it is or to have the instructions on there. So this could be fun. You could flip these tags around and you can put instructions, like if you make one of those homemade hot chocolate mason jars, you can give the instructions on how to mix it, or the cookie jars that people make up, all sorts of things you can add these to. So the larger ones you can definitely flip onto the background, and I like to write the things out in hand because again, it personalizes it even that much more, and they have your handwriting. And now I'm still playing because there's so many different pieces to put together, and yeah, all different looks. And there's even more sentiments in the subscription box, so I could have stamped out peace on earth, and I think there's a couple more. Yeah, there's lots of stuff in there. You can leave this in the comments below. Have you ever made holiday tags, and do you make homemade holiday gifts? Yeah, probably making the homemade holiday gifts is just as much for me as it is for the recipient. It's just something that I like to do. I'm like to be crafty, so that's just another outlet, is to try to figure out what I can craft throughout the year. Now I'm just toning this one down again. That evergreen ink was a little bit too much for what I really wanted. So I just toned that down with some wild honey and used a stencil on top of it. So that gave yet another look to the craft paper. And I didn't do anything to the tag reinforcements because I wanted to keep that craft paper look throughout some of the project, so I thought that that was a good spot to do that. Again, just punching the holes and getting ready. I use different twines from my stash to add the bows or the loops into each tag. And then this one, I wanted to show you that you could actually just do a tag, a small little circle tag just like that, and it works. And again, you can always stamp to and from or to and love on the back and then write your personalized names. And I wanted to give a shout out to my friend Stacy for my nails. She is a Color Street representative and I absolutely love these. They are Halloween and they are shimmery and I like anything that shimmers. They almost like color shift too, from purples to blues. Anyway, I'm going to have her linked in the description if you wanted to check any of those out. And also make sure you go and check out the Hedgehog Hollow blog for lots of inspiration for the October subscription box. And November's has been released, so make sure you check out and see what is coming at you for next month. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate your support. And come find me at Instagram and at katahdncrafts.com. Thank you. Happy crafting.